Victoria Jackson. She's the brilliant comedian from Saturday Night Live in the 1980s, the mid-1980s. It was a fabulous show. She was on stage with the likes of Dennis Miller, Eddie Murphy, and others. It was just a fabulous time for comedy. Well, she's out there again. She's out there again. You'll all remember her. She played those dumb, ditzy roles out there on Saturday Night Live. We'll find out if she was really as ditzy as she says. I don't think she was. Periodically, she pops her head up. And recently, she made a surprise appearance on Bill O'Reilly's show. I believe it was last week. Let's just roll the tape. Let's look at cut 19.
At that time, you're not a conservative person, are you?
No, I was a Christian. I'm a mother first, and I'm a Christian second, and I'm a wife/lover third, and I'm a housekeeper fourth, and fifth, I'm a news reporter, Dennis, fifth in my priority. America, America, God shed his grace on thee.
That was, of course, that was Victoria Jackson on Bill O'Reilly's show, and that shot that you saw was her on Saturday Night Live. She's gone all the way from Hollywood to the Tea Party. Let's bring her on. Victoria Jackson joins us by phone. Victoria, thanks so much for calling in today. This is great to have you.
Hi, David. Thank you for having me. I have to tell you, on that clip they played from Saturday Night Live,
Yeah?
I should have said in my list of priorities that I was, number one, I was a Christian, because the Bible says you should put Christ before your family. But the reason I said mother first was because the whole shtick I was doing was about my daughter, who was a baby, and I was showing films of her on the update desk, and I thought the joke was better if I said number one, mother. But Christian-wise speaking, theologically speaking, I should have said number one, Christian, number two, mother.
Well, I want to talk to you about that, Victoria, but the question I have to ask, and a lot of viewers would like to know the answer to this, how did you go from Hollywood, which definitely has liberal leanings, this is definitely the left element out there, how do you go from Hollywood all the way to the Tea Party? Walk us through your thought process.
Well, it's not that big of a jump if you're a Christian. You already are a conservative, basically. I just wasn't political because no one in my family or my friends or anywhere ever talked about politics. And when I was 18, I said to my dad, who should I vote for? And he said, anyone with an R next to their name. And I said, why? Are they Christians? And he goes, no, but they're closer to the Bible than the D's. And that was my whole political education, where Al Franken, when I worked with him, he told me that every night around his family dinner table in his childhood, they would discuss politics. Every night around my family dinner table, we would discuss the Bible and gymnastics. So I grew up an expert on the Bible and gymnastics.
Bible and I'm trying to put those two together. The Bible and gymnastics. You got to walk me through that. I don't get it.
Well, I think the only correlation is that my father, who was a gymnastics coach and a Baptist deacon, wanted to raise children who were perfect physically, mentally, and spiritually. And that is hard, and that's a big burden to carry as a child.
All right, Victoria, I have to ask you this question because you're on record saying this. You're on record saying they are out to kill Christians. Are you really afraid for your life?
Okay, this is an issue I'm glad you brought up. I am very grateful that Bill O'Reilly and Fox News let me be on TV and express my opinion and sell my book. However, they edited my interview, and if you watch the tape, it's easy to see where they edited it. When I watched it, when I came home, I was like, wait a minute, they left out some of my sentences, and what they edited it to make it sound like I was saying, I'm afraid the communists in America are going to kill me any day now. That's not what I said. This is my exact quote. I said, the reason I'm passionate about this is because I'm going to die soon, but my children are going to be here, and I don't want them to grow up in a communist country because they persecute and kill Christians, and I taught them to believe in Jesus Christ. That was my sentence. They took out the part alluding to my children, and it kind of sounded like I said, I'm going to die soon, communists kill Christians. Now, I shouldn't make a fuss about it because it is true, communists do kill Christians. It's just that I wasn't like a dingbat flapping my arms in a paranoid, state. I'm just telling the facts the way they are.
Well,
I grew up in Miami, and Cubans were escaping communism from Cuba, telling me that the first thing to go was the nuns and the priests, because you cannot worship God in the state, and communism makes you worship the state. And they always get rid of the Christians first.
All right, you're mentioning communism, so I got to take you to Washington, because one of the statements you also made is that President Obama is a communist. That's a very big statement, Victoria. That's going to raise a lot of eyebrows.
It's so obvious. But here's the thing. They don't call it that anymore. They call it collectivist or progressive. And it's so cute because the new word is collectivist, and I see it popping up here and there, and it's the same meaning. It means the government controlling everything. If you studied Obama's past, the other sentence they left out of O'Reilly was when I quoted Aaron Klein, Dinesh D'Souza, and Trevor Loudon as books that prove my point. They left that out, so it just sounds like I'm a ditz. But the point is, Obama's all these books prove that his childhood mentor, Frank Marshall Davis, was a card-carrying member of the Communist Party. Paul Kengor is a professor who wrote a book called The Communist, and even has the number of Obama's grandparents' Communist Party card. Valerie Jarrett, who is Obama's right-hand man, her grandfather was a card-carrying member of the Communist Party. Paul Kengor can prove that. His white grandparents who raised him were communists. His mother was a communist. His father from Kenya.
All right, I think I get it. It's too confusing for me, but let me take it to the world of social issues, because you comment on this now and then. And I'm going to go back to 2011. In 2011, you wrote in your blog the following, and let me just read this for our viewers. Did you see Glee this week? Sickening. And besides shoving the gay thing down our throats, they made a mockery of Christians again. They were talking about a gay kiss between two men on the show. Given what's happened in this country, I mean, the Supreme Court is starting to lean that way. What are your views here? Are you upset about this?
I'm very upset about it. The Bible, God is very much against homosexuality, and if the culture tries to make it the norm, I don't care. God is my God, not Obama, not the culture, not the show Glee. By the way, that guy just committed suicide. The young actor from Glee,
Right. I'm not sure it was the same actor, but I believe it was an overdose. I believe, yes.
Well, my point. Well, first of all, homosexuality, it's a free country. You can do whatever you want. But the problem with it, now that it's politicized...
If you can do whatever you want, Victoria, if, critics would point out, if you can do whatever you want, why can't they show it on TV?
Because 6-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 12-year-olds with an empty slate mind, with an innocent mind, are sitting in the living room, and you are teaching them, you are showing them that it's a normal lifestyle and behavior. It is not a normal lifestyle and behavior. And it is completely against God. And our children are innocent. Puberty kids are confused enough as it is. Do you think they need more choices, more confusion? It's horrible. I'm so happy my kids are already grown. I would never let my kids watch the show Glee. I was flipping channels, and I stumbled on Glee. I went, I love this show. I love singing and dancing. I know the lyrics to every musical, and I was loving it. And then they start having these two guys kissing and this romantic music. I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, then let me ask you that, Victoria, you mentioned your kids. Would you have let your kids watch Saturday Night Live? Do you let them watch it now?
First of all, there was no men kissing on Saturday Night Live in 1988.
Maybe now.
I'll tell you what. In 10 years, it was the goal, the socialist, a Marxist goal, to break up the family unit, and they have been trying to do that for the last 20 years. My friend David Kapelian wrote a book called The Marketing of Evil, and he can prove that these two gay guys, a super smart marketing guys, one from Harvard, actually wrote a book on how to change the American culture to accept homosexuality as normal. And they accomplished it in 10 years. And you got to read his book. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, 10 years ago, it would have been shocking for people.
Victoria, let me ask you before you go. You work with some of the greats in comedy. You're from a legendary era. Do you keep in touch with any of your acting, stage mates?
Well, I see them occasionally. Me and John Lovitz are doing stand-up together next year, actually. It's already been booked. I saw once in a while we do stand-up together, but I haven't seen them recently. Well, one of them lives in, Northern California. I'm not telling where I'm in because
Where
I think I have.
I forgot. They're trying to kill the Christians. They can't. You got to keep it secret.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what about the new iteration of the Saturday Night Live? It's been on forever, all right? It's gone through a lot of transformations. What do you think of the show, the lineup that they have right now?
Actually, I just called John Lovitz yesterday. I'm waiting for him to call me back. What do I think of it now? I haven't seen it recently. I think we had better writers, and I think Kristen Wiig is a genius. But she's not on there now, but she was in the last cast. I think some of them are really talented.
Do you think that comedians today have the same kind of freedoms that you enjoyed way back then?
What do you mean freedoms?
Well, in other words, you were able to take on almost any subject back then. I'm just wondering in the realm of, corporate networks, they've got to, get out a certain message. Do you think there are any restrictions on the Saturday Night Live cast and the writers today?
Yes,
you do.
There is less freedom. Number one, political correctness is censorship, and censorship is the death of freedom of speech. And nowadays on SNL or TV, you cannot criticize Islam. And that scares me because Sharia law says you cannot criticize Islam. The Constitution says you can criticize anything. So are we now under Sharia law? And when did that happen? So number one, they do not criticize Islam on SNL. They do criticize Christians. And number two, they never make fun of Obama except maybe once every 48 shows for like one joke. But, they're really afraid of making fun of the dictator.
Well, it is Hollywood, Victoria. Victoria, congratulations on the book. Hope you come back again real soon. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was, of course,